So very warm welcome to all of you to my presentation. So 1 second, let me start. Yeah. Okay, so the topic here today is to spot cyber threats and possibly malicious activities using AI. So before we go into this topic, I would like to just give you a little bit background of what ShipServ does, right? So we are a B2B e-commerce platform in maritime industry. Headquartered in London, more than 20 years in the industry. And of course, we are connecting about 260 buying companies, ship owner, ship manager, shipyard, and 52,000 suppliers. We have our own in-house product and development team. So that is about ShipServ, just a general introduction. So before we move on, I just want to to share with you, or do you know how much of a cost of a data breach in last year, 2021? What is the average cost of a data breach? $1 million, $2 million, 500K. What is it? How much it is? So according to the IBM security report, cost of data breach report, you can see that the average cost last year altogether, how much? $4.24 million. It is not a total cost, but it is an average cost of a data breach. And then you can see the trend starting from 2015, moving on for start with under 4 million, and then just fluctuate a bit. And then you can see starting from pandemic, it has a sharp increase up to 4.24. So of all this data breach, right, the cost of a data breach, what is the distribution of the country or the region who has the most? I think most of you will guess it, right? Who has the most data breach? Of course, US, United States, about 9 million. And the second one is Middle East here, about 7. Canada, 5.4. Germany, and then Japan. So you see, where is Australia? Australia is slightly under 3 million. You see, hey, yeah, it's on a low end, right, in this chart. However, if you compare it with the year before, 2020, right, it has a total of 30% increase on the average cost of a data breach. Scary, right? So what are the challenges as a CISO or a security professional? What are the challenges today? What am I facing, right? When I'm safeguarding my company's ShipServ data platform, all this. Of course, it's list a few of it. First, too many attack surface. When workforce moving to remotely, there's open more attack surface. And then the technology advanced, it coming up a lot of more new technology like 5G, and then you have a lot of IoT device now connecting, right? And then we can have API because now everyone is talking about ecosystem, connecting using API. So the more advanced of the technology, you open more attack surfaces, right? The second part is on the skills gaps. So we are, I think you in the information security industry or field, you know that it is sometimes difficult to hire the right caliber of the teammates or people to safeguard the data. Third one, data. Well, we have been analyzing a lot of data for all this like system log, user log, right? Malicious activities, all this. So with this huge amount of data, how do we make use of it to know our risk exposure, to know our risk position? So there are the challenge of it. And of course, in case, right, if you have a suspicious activities or in case, unfortunately, if you have breach, all this, how do you quickly identify, protect, right? Detect, respond and recover. You want to solve it as soon as possible. So on average, whenever an incident happens until it is being detected, it takes almost about 200 something days to get it detected. So we better need a better approach to do it. And then the last one is the budget. Well, everyone has a budget, right? The budget is very tight, right? And then we need to spend on the right technology, right amounts, right, to protect. So what about if the company who has fully deployed AI or automation versus the company who haven't deployed AI and automation? What is this protection? How can they help the organization? Right. So from the same report by IBM Security, is that for those companies who deployed AI, so you have reduced 80% of the cost of a data breach, 80%. So to further help you to understand this, you see a little bit of a different year, but let's take last year, 2021. So for those fully deployed, is around 3 million of cost of the data breach. For those that is not deployed AI or any automation, it's about 6.7. Right. So compare with previous year like 2019, 2020, you can see all of them, the trend has been increased. Like for 5 million, right, up to 6 million, right, for those not deployed. And then for those you have fully deployed on the AI or automation, you have been still under 3 million. So you can see a big gap of it, right? Okay, so, well, let's move on. So what are the advantages, right, of the cognitive AI? Of course, everyone knows AI, right? Powerful, handle a lot of data. But the problem is that we have a lot of data to analyze, but a lot of them are like, for example, traffic, legitimate traffic, right? For you or for the system to spot those malicious traffic, you need to automate it, or you need to apply AI with human intelligence feed into the system to quickly spot it or block it if this happens. Right. And then the second, of course, automated security monitor, threat hunting, containment. So with all this increasing attack surface, how we make sure that we have all the attack surface cover, all our parameter cover with limited of teammates. So well, taking ShipServ for example, we don't have a luxury for the whole team for a SOC. So of course, in that case, we need to leverage our resources by using the smart tools to doing that. So that is another way you can take the advantage of cognitive AI. Then of course, if something happens, right, you have a faster detection and response, because once you fit in the system on the right model, on the right behavior, you according just like to your instruction or to learn how this can protect your organization. And of course, AI, cognitive AI, get better over time, right? Same as human, we learn from our mistakes. So same as AI. So the more data set that you feed into the AI, the more better, and then you get better over time. So what I can see, right, the role of AI in terms of cybersecurity, right? So what is the role? For example, right, it minimizes attack surface because it helps you to automate a lot of the surface, a lot of the, maybe start with the basic, then you can move to a more advanced protection, right? So the team, my team can focus on those advanced threats and detection, and then leaving the basic or whatever to the AI or automation. But moving forward, the more we feed to the AI, the more advanced it will take. That means less and less human intervention will be result. Setup and configuration. Definitely this part we can help, right? And you know, some of the attack, right, or some of the threats or features, right, a result for misconfiguration. So how AI can help this, right? So if we feed into the model that the AI can automatically set up and configure your environment, you can set up a baseline. They can set up a baseline for you, and then later same. Same, you're moving forward to a more advanced setup. So this one, they can help, right? And then we enforce cybersecurity practice. Like, for example, we are ISO 27001, but how we can ensure my teammates, my colleagues, their workflow are compliant with 27001. Then we can apply AI to the process to help you to reinforce the security practice. So besides the process, of course, during the software development cycle, right, you have all this testing. How do you know the code is secure? Security testing, right, all this. But you can also apply AI to make sure the teammates, right, before they check in the code, you make sure that it at least meet a certain quality security standards. And certainly, of course, we are talking about risk assessment compliance. AI can help to automate a lot. Take for example, ISO 27001, we come up about, well, internally on the framework, right, about 300 something control. So if we need to do a risk assessment, internal audits of this, right, if we have AI to help, then it's, well, definitely lessen our workload and allow us to focus on all those key areas that more valuable for the company. So breaking down to the areas what AIs can help, right? For the technology side, API. Well, as I said before, right? API now, everyone is using API, connect to the ecosystem. That means that is a new attack surface, or, well, a more increasing, right, the focus on API. So a lot of things on the API protection, like authentication, right? Yes, we need the authentication, and of course, very limiting. Yes, of course, right? If you find that the API calls so many times, you need to limit it because maybe abusive usage. So what can be helped on? Why? How AI can help in this area? Well, AI can be an added layer on the API securities. So instead of using all these predefined rules, or this, you can apply AI to measure, right, the behavior, to check on the traffic, to see anything that is unusual. So it is complements to your API security tools on the AI part. What else? Block detection, right? So do you know that a lot of traffic, right, to your website, or, well, even to our platform is blocked, no matter it's good block or bad block, right? Of course, we don't want to block the good ones. We only want to block the bad ones. So in terms of applying the AI, fitting the data, and then fine-tune the model, you can help yourself to protect from the bug detection. Well, actually, maybe a lot of you using the tools on all this protection, it is already have some sort of AI in place. Cloud security. Well, everyone's now moving, hey, I need to move to the cloud. So of course, right, one of the reasons is remote working. So cloud security, it is a very important topic right now in cybersecurity. With the use of AI, right, since cloud is so complicated, you have a lot of traffic workloads. So AI also can help on improving the cloud security. Like us, we are completely moved to the cloud a few years back, and then we are using Azure. Of course, basically, Azure can help at least some sort of protection for our security, but we can use AI, right, to apply to enhance our security, especially if you can help on the configuration part. Data protection, as you see from my previous slide on the IBM securities, right? The cost of data breach is huge. So how do you protect your data? Business data. I'm not talking only about PII, privacy. No, I'm talking about your business confidential data or trade secrets or this, your IP. How do they protect the data? So the use of AI, of course, it can detect some data leakage. And then the leaking of sensitive data, either maybe, right, credit card, maybe email, or the data you define as business critical. So you can alert and protect the data assets of your organization. Well, endpoint protection. Now everyone is moving to remote work, right? So it doesn't matter to us, right? It doesn't matter whether they connect to a corporate network at home. No, because a lot of my end user or even the customers, they are using just like a regular internet user. So to protect our teammates, we have deployed a lot of endpoint protection last year to make sure that our teammates is being protected for ransomware, for malicious, malware, all this. So in terms of these tools, of course, part of it is a component of AI. Well, if like if you're financial institute or maybe you're like us, right, have a payment gateway, online payment gateway, of course, you will be very, very focused on some of the online fraud. So how you can protect it, right, from the online fraud is by using, of course, right, part of it, AI, right, to make sure that anything that is fishy, anything that is not right, or maybe you can also track, right, check on the database whether it is anything happened to that credit card or any suspicious with the owner of the payment. So all this intelligence you need to process, but how you can process it effectively? Of course, right? If you're using manually, it won't help. You need to smarter tools for all this online fraud. Well, risk assessment, I think I mentioned before, a lot of it, you need to know your risk position. You need to know the risk appetite, right? How much risk you can tolerate. And then of course, it's also linked to your cyber insurance assessment, right? When you apply your cyber insurance, the insurer or the broker will have a look at what is the risk of your company. So in order to do that, you need to have a good risk assessment framework in your company. So no matter what risk framework you're using, ISO, NIST, right, or others, with all this control, whenever it is, you need some sort of intelligence in order to spot, hey, this area, you're not compliant, you're at risk. You need to make sure you know that, right? But in these days, are we just focusing on our own company? No, of course not, right? Remember the Log4j incident, December? Of course, it is a nightmare for everyone. So besides looking into your organization, you need to understand how your suppliers, right, third party, or some of the companies saying on the fourth party, what are their risk exposure? How do you know? Do you have time to know what are their risk exposure? Do you have time to assess each of your vendor? Do you know how many vendors you're using just by talking about your third level? Doesn't talk on the fourth yet. So you need, as I say, right, same, you need a tools or some intelligence to help you to understand what are your third parties, right? And what are their risk exposure. Remember that some of them is coming from the third party on the attack. So if you're not understanding how good your vendor, your third party, then you're simply missing some of the piece in your big picture because they directly affect, right, to your security position. Testing. Well, of course, a lot of testing can be used, right? QA testing, automated testing, including AI. So for all this testing, since we are using Agile, so we have about 2 weeks on sprint. So we are quickly, every 2 weeks, we deliver, right? A continuous delivery. So in order to have this quick deliverables on our application, on our platform, we need to have some intelligence again, right? Even on the testing as well, whether they comply, right, to our security standard, quality standards. So this one, you can also apply AI into part of your testing. Threat hunting, yeah. Oh, nowadays we are not talking about, hey, I'm sitting here, just wait, right? When the attack comes, I block. When the attack comes, I block. No, we are talking about proactively looking at your environment and see, is there any risk, any dangers, any threats? How do you do that? You can see I have so many lists on this, and then you can add more and more and more. How can I do threat hunting on top of everything on my team? Of course, you can also apply to the using AI technology, right? As a model to use, to turn it, to make sure that it do the threat hunting for you. 0 days. Wow. 0 days attack. 0 days is also a threat, definitely. But how you defend yourself from 0 day, which is have no fix, right? No solution yet. If you don't know what is abnormal, right, then of course, you don't know what is need to be blocked, or you don't know what is suspicious activity. Therefore, of course, right, by using AI technology, right, compare, maybe you have a baseline, maybe you have some behavioral analysis, like an IP coming from, we never coming to visit our platform before, or some intelligence, more intelligence, right, on the AI, right? You can set up some rules or something like the time zone is not right, all these suspicious activities, right? You can properly know that the attacker, or something that is deviate from normal 0 days. What else? A lot of technology, right? As I say, the list can get more and more, but I just give you a few examples of those. Process. Of course, AI can apply in the process. It says to be a compliance and standard enforcer. So if you don't do this, right, and then of course you cannot do B, right? If you don't do A, you cannot do B, as strict as this. Or you can just have AI to run through your process to find any loophole, anything non-compliance, right? Those that, of course. So cost budget, right? So you can have, of course, you can help you, right? AI. No, I know that a lot of you may say, hey, AI come with a cost. Yes, definitely. But in terms of the cost versus the benefits, right? I really believe it outweighs the cost incurred. So actually, what I'm talking about this, right? AI also help you on the cost prediction, including the risk prediction and risk exposure. So you know, for example, you can predict the cause of a breach in your organization. How do you do that? You can, of course, using the tools of AI, right? Data leak. Have a look at your environment. Anything that's sensitive, confidential, being leaked to others, to third party, or even you can look in the world, right? In others, have a scan in other the internet world, anything that infringe your IPs. People, how AI can help on the people side for defending cybersecurity. Awareness training. So I'm sure a lot of you will be doing continuous awareness training, but if a smarter way to do, right, on the training, because you always want to train up your weaker side, right? So your weak point becomes stronger and stronger. Same, if you can apply AI to find a model analysis, all this for your teammates to understand what are their weaknesses in terms of cybersecurity, of course, it can help you on the awareness training, just like a target training for your teammates. Behavior analysis are how you do that. So this is basically a data collection. What is your standard user behavior? Actually, it's very important for our platform because we have a lot of customers, right? Users on our platform, the standard behavior analysis of them. And then what are the deviations? So people. So, well, just like AI, I think all of you will agree it's become an integral part of cybersecurity. So it becomes more and more important on the application of AI. But of course, it depends on how you want to do it and what is the level you want to invest to achieve your goals. Last but not least, well, you are only as strong as your weakest link. That's why it's always continuous improvement on your weakest link. Thank you.